Hello, welcome, and my love to all of you. This is Anshu Sharma here. Quantum field. All matter, including us, exist in. Imagine swimming in a pool comprising of 17 different fluids of various colors. These different fluids comprise different fields, but all combining, vibrating, moving together as a single field, visible to you as waves in the water. Now, holding on to this memory, step outside the pool and imagine the subtle version of the same field you are in right now. The only difference is it is the field which is all around you is space, and this field is invisible. Scientists so far have discovered 17 quantum particles making up all the matter we see around us. The matter which include plants, animals, mineral world, human beings, and also the stars and the planets. All quantum particles are creating waves in the quantum field. The waves we cannot see, but we can get an idea. The waves which we cannot see, but we can get an idea by placing iron filings around a magnet. These lines we see around a magnet where the iron filings sort of join together and make up a field are called magnetic field lines. We notice that these field lines come out of the North Pole and they go into the South Pole. The field lines are more concentrated at the poles because the magnetic field is strongest at the poles. And this is where the field lines are most concentrated. For many years, scientists thought that the atom was the smallest particle possible. The atom. Today, scientists have found even smaller particles making up an atom. Atom consists of three basic particles: protons and neutrons, which lie at the center of the atom in the nucleus. The nucleus containing the protons and neutrons make up the center mass of an atom. The protons which lie in the nucleus are positively charged and the neutrons are negatively charged. The outermost regions of the atom are called electron shells that contain the electrons, and the electrons are negatively charged. Number of electrons in an atom are equal to the number of protons in its nucleus. All subatomic particles making matter and force lie within this invisible field which we call quantum field. The fundamental nature of the universe are not the fields. The fundamental nature of the universe are not the particles, but the fields. These fields are fluid-like substances that can be perturbed. these waves can be disturbed. They can vibrate, and these fields can experience excitation. Everything in the universe has a vacuum. Matter and subatomic particles in it. This vacuum is not dull and vacuum, but it is alive. It is constantly moving and changing. This quantum field is never still. It cannot sit still. There are bubbles popping and bursting in the quantum field all the time. The particles are constantly being created and destroyed in the vast emptiness. What we see around is the result of that excitation, making the particles and then joining them together to make the matter. In this quantum field, we see the photons of light, which are vibrations in electromagnetic field. So we see the electrons vibrating in electron fields. We see photons vibrating in electromagnetic field. And we see quarks. Quarks are the smallest subatomic particles which make up protons and neutrons. So these quarks are vibrating in quark field. We see electrons which are vibrating in an electron fields. We see up quarks and down quarks vibrating in up and down quark fields. And then we also see the photons. All matter we see around is the result of excitation and vibration of mainly these four fields. We repeat, the electrons vibrating in electron fields, photons vibrating in electromagnetic fields, and quarks vibrating in up quark field and down quark fields. But there are more. There are about 17 of such fields on top of each other. And all they together, they make up a unified quantum field. Einstein called this field space-time. And this field pervades all reality, all physical reality, which we exist in and also experience. What we call gravity is bending of this field of space-time. When the field bends, it becomes gravity. Whatever happens to a particle in space is governed by what is happening in the field near the particle. Just like waves require a medium of water to propagate over distances, subatomic cosmic particles, photons extra, require also a medium. They require a medium of quantum field to propagate large distances, such as from galaxies to sun and from sun to earth. So all these subatomic particles propagate through the quantum field from one large object to another. We can imagine these particles dancing in quantum field because they are never still. The waves are forever forming, destroying and forming these particles. This dance is commonly called dance of Shiva. Particles are formed and destroyed in this field all the time. Protons transformed into an electron and an electron gets transformed into a proton. When waves of particles and antiparticles come together in a field, they annihilate each other. So we wonder, who is then creating these particles? These particles existing in the quantum field, moving all the time. Who is creating these particles? All living beings, including us, are creating these particles. Once you tap this field hard enough, a particle is created. Energy is creating these particles. And particles are also decaying to release the energy all the time. We repeat, once you tap this field hard enough, a particle gets created from this field and energy is creating this particle. The particles, once they are decayed, then they release the same amount of energy which they took in order for their creation. So effectively, the mass of the particle is equal to energy needed to vibrate it in a field. Because this energy is required to create these particles. It is explained by Einstein's famous equation E is equal to mc square, where E is the energy needed to vibrate a particle. M is the mass of a particle, which is the energy needed to vibrate it in a field. And c is the speed of light. So again, E is equal to mc square, where E represents the energy needed to vibrate a particle and m is the mass of the particle, c being the speed of the light. Every particle in the universe is a tiny ripple in a quantum field. And that tiny ripple in the quantum field, you can say, is molded into a particle. We can see the particles, but we cannot see the waves. These particles generate. We can see the particles when we look through the electron microscope, but we do not see these waves in a particle. Which particles are generating? Because these waves are invisible. We are living in this field all the time. We are receiving electric field, which is the wave function of electrons. So electrons, when they move, they create electric field. And we also receive electromagnetic field, which is a combination of the electric field generating the magnetic field around it. And it is the wave function of photons. Photons carry light. And so, but we cannot see the wave function because the wave function is invisible. Whenever we wish to measure the wave function, these waves collapse into a particle, a photon. The wave function collapses and a particle is manifested. We can never know where the particle exists in space-time. The particle can exist anywhere. So that's why we always imagine the probability or the possibility of a particle existing somewhere in these waves. But we cannot see the waves. We cannot see the particle. Whenever we can only imagine the possibility and probability of a particle existing somewhere there. But when we wish to see it, it is there. This is why we can only work on the principle of possibilities of a particle being in a particular location. How or where the waves will collapse and photon will manifest, we would never know. So how does it matter? How does it correlate with our understanding, with our consciousness? That explains why all our prayers are answered. Because we are releasing the energy of our thoughts in the ether, in the quantum field. And at any time, these waves, we are consistent in sending these waves, sometime, somewhere, they will collapse into the matter. And they will manifest in our physical life, in our physicality. It is very important to understand quantum field in order to understand conscious creation at the quantum level. We are energy. Your thoughts and your emotions are making magnetic and gravitational fields and creating matter particles. These matter particles are building blocks of the matter. Our thoughts and our emotions are creating the waves in the quantum field. Our thoughts and our emotions are changing and altering the field from moment to moment, creating and destroying the matter, depending upon the momentum and our consistency. And likewise, other living beings are also creating the matter with their thoughts, with their emotions in this quantum field. So more on this subject in another talk. Please watch my 2 playlists. One is quantum, where last year I've talked about fractals and other things. And season 4, quantum creation, which talks about step by step about quantum matters, subatomic elementary particles, and how we bring the matter into physical creation, whereby you all can virtually create anything you desire. Thanks for listening. If you like this video, please subscribe and share so others can benefit. Lots of love, and I see you. Bye.